G'day there, this is Holy Critics signing in, and I wanted to make a special video today giving you a behind the scenes look at how exactly I restore VHS cover art. Now, you may remember a little while ago I did a tutorial using Adobe Premiere Pro showing you how I convert a tape recording to a digital version of that, and then clean up a lot of the static and discoloration, things like that. But I wanted to make a video about how I basically create posters out of old classic VHS cover art, which is one of my favorite pastimes, actually, because many of the movies, take for example this one you see on screen called Blindsided, starring Jeff Fahey and Mia Sara. Now, this is a movie you probably never heard about before, but these cheesy, this one in this case is an erotic thriller from the early 90s, but you'll be hard-pressed to find a good quality image of this movie on, say, Google image search. And that's because a lot of the movies I find have essentially been relegated to the dustbin of history, which I believe is a crying shame, but for whatever reason the movie studios did not see any potential in these admittedly low quality productions, but they have interesting plots, and they present some good acting that you wouldn't expect. So, in a way, my job is to fill that void and resurrect these movies that you would never ordinarily see. So, with that out of the way, for the next 5 minutes, if you'll give me your time, I'm going to show you step by step what I do to turn a photocopy into a high-quality image that represents the movie in a better light, so to speak. So, stick by, and maybe you'll learn a thing or two. Alright, so the very first tool I like to use whenever I get a full-scale VHS cover like this one is the cropping tool. And what I like to do is remove the side and I guess you'd call that the spine and the backing, and just focus on the front of the cover. And what I do is I just draw my parameters here, right down to the base, and press the cropping tool, enter on the keyboard, and boom, got the front of the VHS cover right here. And if I just want to sort of narrow the focus a little bit more, because it's not perfect, and just sort of bring that in a little bit more on the sides and the base here, which I don't really need all these credits at the bottom here, so I'll just move that up to about there. Boom. All right, so we've got our field of view in the frame now. So what you'll notice immediately is a lot of these sort of specks on the image itself. As I zoom in, you can see them more obviously. These little white specks. And what that is just essentially the paper on the cover itself is over time degraded. As you can see, it's pretty worse in the corner here. So in this instance, I like to use the spot healing brush and just work slowly around the edges just to sort of bring the coloring back into focus here. It's not the easiest thing because it's dragging all the other pixels from around the area, but as you kind of go over it, you get a little bit closer to what you want. It starts to be removed. Just get around there. I might have to reduce the size of my little pixelator here. So it's a little bit harder when you're dealing with larger areas, but you can easily get these little specks off the screen, as you can see. And these are a real nuisance. They get in your eye line, and I'm a perfectionist, so I hate them. So what I do is I go around meticulously removing and erasing, like this one here, for example. This is a big, ugly looking one. Remove that like a pimple. Boom, 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 like that. And what I do is depending on how exacting you want to be, for this one, I'll just increase the size and just do the general area. Maybe not. Not an exact science, but as you go over it, you can definitely see I'm ironing out a lot of the problem areas like that. Boom, boom, boom. So, secondly, what I do is in tight little situations, like for example, this blotch here, as you can see, this weird brown blotch in this black area, what I do is I use the paintbrush and I just grab the color palette from the area and just basically just go over it like that, so you can't really see what was there. Like that, in little tight areas where you don't want to drag too many pixels from outside the area, like that. Or on this area, there's this sort of a red mark. I just grab the white and I just sort of go over it like that, as you can see, and I can slowly erase that defective area, like that. Or this area here, for example. That's a second way I do it if I don't like dragging too many different pixels out of the area. This one here, I'll go back to the spot brush, just sort of clean it up. Now, this part is probably the most tedious and takes most of my time, but what I'll move on to next, because I'll just flash forward after I'm done showing you the basic areas to show you the final product. What I do next is I adjust the colors. Now, this image is not too bad. The blue is quite vivid, but the reds are kind of faded, and I just want to bring a little bit more vibrance to the scene itself. So what I do is I go to the adjustments and I just check to see what the brightness looks like. If I have to bring it down a little bit or maybe I bring it down slightly here. Maybe the image was not quite that well photocopied. So just to reduce the brightness. And what I look for when I'm doing the selective color is I want to bring certain colors out in the image. And immediately I'm not liking the red. So what I do here is I just increase the vibrance of the magenta. And as you can see, as I increase this, you can see the reds become more vivid in the image, which I love. And another color I like to adjust is, say, the blue here. Just make it a little bit more crisp. I know that's a word, but that applies, but you know what I mean. Just sort of bring it in a little bit here. And the blues, the darker blues, cyan. There we are. Perfect. Maybe just a bit of the white as well, because blindsided is written in that. See, that ruins it a little bit. Take a bit of the black out of it. And it's starting to get close now. So, as you can see, I've still got to iron out some of the defects around here and here. But basically, that's generally it. Once you start fixing the color up, the image becomes more there's more clarity in the image once you fix the color scales up. Finally, what I may do before I skip forward in the video is, what's the other one I'd like to touch up? Is it the shadows? I think it's shadows, maybe. No, see, that ruins it a little bit. Maybe bring it down a little bit so it's not overexposed. That at 0. Too much. See, it's all just trial and error. There's no exact way to do this, but as you'll see in a short second, this makes a huge amount of difference compared to the original image I had to work with. Threshold? No, absolutely not. That ruined it. Vibrance? Yeah, maybe vibrance. A little bit of vibrance. See, if you go that way, it takes all the color out. It sucks the color out. But I want to have a richer color here, so I'm just going to increase the vibrance to maybe about 50. And saturation, I never ever touch, because that just starts blending things together that don't deserve to be blended together. All right, so I'm going to skip forward now and just show you the final product before I wrap this video up. Flash forward, and here, my friends, is the final product. And as you can see, the difference is night and day compared to what I originally had to work with. And just for reference, here's what I started with. Not exactly the worst VHS cover I've worked with, but this was on my desk today, and I just wanted to give you a brief insight. It's okay, but it's got problems. It's got pixelation issues, and certainly the colors are quite dull. And then boom, you've got a vibrant, high-quality image, a poster that reflects the movie better, at least in my opinion. But of course, I'm OCD. I went through it and did and it took about 25 minutes. I went through and removed all the little slight errors and imperfections to get the image that you see on the screen right now. I just wanted to touch briefly on the areas that I address primarily when I am doing the restoration process. So if you are interested in doing it, it is a fun hobby. It's challenging, but it teaches you a lot of skills about using Photoshop, and I hadn't really done much research on it, or I just learned it on the go. So there's no exact anything here. It's just you figure it out as you go, and the proof is in the pudding, as they say. If you found today's video highly informative, please drop a thumbs up on the video or subscribe and press the notification bell if you haven't done so already. I do really appreciate your support for the channel, and I've got a few more ideas mulling in my head over the coming days and weeks ahead, so stick with me, and you might see some more interesting content coming your way. But for now, this is Holy Critic signing out.